Oh, hi guys. Welcome to the Rusty Beauty's garage again. Guess what day is today? Nope, you're wrong. It's not Thursday. It's Monday. But you know what? It feels like Thursday to me. Sorry, I'm just moving the TR6 out because I want to do some work on it. Not a lot, just a little bit, because it bugs me what happened here, that we snapped this fitting last time when we started the car for the first time, and I want to see if I can fix that like quickly, because it is the end of the day. I worked all day on customers' cars, and now I wouldn't feel guilty if I do a power hour here on my own car. So in the last episode we started the engine finally after, I don't know, almost 2 years after it was rebuilt and 37 years after it last run. So that was good, but we had some issues which we're gonna be dealing with soon. One of the issues was with the insulators behind the carburetors that are leaking. So we have vacuum leaks there, and the carburetors were overflowing. And I think that's because we had an electric fuel pump that just had way too high pressure. So we're gonna deal with that as well. But what I wanna deal with right now is this fitting here that snapped on me. I realized that in that video I didn't show very well what was happening here. And people who know GT6s, they know exactly what's happening, but people who are not familiar with GT6 did not understand what exactly happened. So here, this is the output of the heat tube inside the intake manifold. We have hot coolant going into the manifold in the front, coming out of here, and from here we have this Y fitting. You see why it is called Y? That has 3 branches. So one is the return that goes back through this pipe and goes back to the pump. One is going up, going inside the cabin for the heater, and then from the heater the return hose taps in here, and then it goes together with the other return. So that's how it goes. But this fitting is held here with a banjo bolt. So this is what snapped. It has a smaller outer diameter here, and it's hollow, so water comes out. It has a hole here and a hole here, and because it has a smaller outer diameter here, it forms a chamber inside here where water, like coolant, can travel. So what happened was, on this side there's a fiber washer that was leaking, and me, being me, just decided to force the fitting loose, and this is the result. So now I ordered a new one. In a few days we're gonna have a new fitting, new fiber washers and everything, but we have to figure out a way to take this out. And I thought this was brass for some reason, but no, it is actually steel. In the first place, steel and aluminum don't like each other. I mean, they do like each other because they stay together forever. I mean, once you put them together, it's really hard to separate them. So when I thought this was brass, I was thinking maybe I should take a grinder and just grind inside bigger and bigger and bigger until I'm able to snap the fitting somewhere and just peel it off, you know what I mean? But now that I realize that this is actually steel, I'm thinking I should just put a bolt inside and weld it around, and then with heat and like carefully we should be able to release it. That's exactly what I wanted. Something is moving somewhere, but I don't know where. I think I'm gonna snap the head of the boat. That's what's happening. I think it's the head of the boat here. It's moving. Not really sure, but I think it's moving. Yes, it's moving. It's moving. Good. At this point, we're gonna put something. Still have this magic solution here. That's ATF and acetone 50-50. Now that it started moving back and forth, hopefully that's gonna penetrate. Stop moving now. Cool down. Wow, that's stubborn. Can't believe how stubborn it is. It started moving and still. Yeah, I need to keep the heat going. Wow. There you go, it snapped. I knew it was gonna happen. This is what smokes. The nylon from the nylock. Can't believe how stubborn it is. It started and it's still not going. Like it is super solid. When I reach the end, it is solid. Try and force it a little bit more, but that's how it snapped the last time. Yeah. There you go, it snapped again. Ah. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna soak it for as much as I can. I'm gonna let it sit until tomorrow. Tomorrow we're gonna do the same thing again. Hopefully this time it's gonna work. But at least it's gonna be soaked. So I guess tomorrow is gonna be GT6 Thursday again, even though it's gonna be Tuesday. Okay, next day, let's try that again. Wow. Holy moly, that's crazy. So you see the threads here. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean this up on the wire wheel, get rid of this. I think this is aluminum that is stuck inside here. So we're gonna clean all this up, and then we're gonna make a few vertical cuts, and then we're gonna use this as a top to clean up the threads here, like this. So I made 2 cuts. They're not 90 degrees. I should have made a third one, but my compressor is off, so I didn't want to turn it on to make the last cut. WD-40 is the best lubricant for aluminum. 40 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 is the best lu That's better. Okay, so here we are ready for the new banjo boat to arrive. The problem is it's still not shipped. I ordered it 3 days ago. Okay, that's where we're gonna leave it, and we're gonna do something similar as well on the other side of the engine. Now here, if you remember in the last episode, I showed you that for whatever reason this hole is plugged. Maybe I plugged it when I rebuilt the engine, I'm not really sure, but the thing is, here is where the oil pressure line needs to plug in. This fitting needs to go there. This is where we have the electrical switch for the dash light. But I stripped the hex inside. Even though I know the trick and I show it to other people, all of a sudden now it didn't work for me. So I even cut a slot here to try and undo it with a screwdriver. That didn't work as well. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the same thing like for that plug there. We're gonna weld a bolt here, and hopefully that's gonna help us pull it out. Most likely we're gonna ruin the paint here, but that's fine, we're gonna paint it after again. Let's try it while it's hot. Yeah. Okay. Nice. We ruined the bolt. That was hot. Okay, so now we're gonna move this fitting here and we're gonna put back the electrical stuff there. First I'm gonna clean up here and make sure that it is painted again. Alright, so the fitting is there now. The switch is installed back. I took some parts out to paint, like the caps for the oil and for the radiator. I painted the dipstick as well. So I've done a little bit of work today, and I think it's time to push it back under the body until Thursday and work on customers' cars. Ta-da! So we have our helper today. It's another day, and
I'm trying to burn up this impact.
yeah, you smoked my drill. Yeah, it's another day, and we are gonna do a little bit more work. It's Friday actually. We didn't do a GT6 Thursday this week, but it's gonna be GT6 Friday. And unfortunately, I still don't have the parts for the carburetors that I ordered. So I can do a little bit of work there, but we decided that we're gonna change routes here and we're gonna do the shocks on the front, because so what happened here is we assembled this suspension around Christmas. It was actually
Was it last year?
Yeah, 2018 I think.
Oh. So a little more than last year.
Yeah, but it was, I remember it was around Christmas again. Anyways, we assembled the suspension front and rear, and it sat for a long time like that until one day I had to move the car out from that shop, and then I put the body on the chassis just for the move, and I realized that the front end was sitting super high as well as the rear end. So I did a little bit of research and I figured that I can use adjustable front shocks that I can lower it with. So I bought what are they? Gas shocks.
Adjustable.
And adjustable height and ride, I believe, for the front, and for the rear I bought adjustable ride shocks.
Look at those.
Look at those.
Oh, those nice.
Yeah. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna install the 4 shocks and we're gonna put the body on so we can see how much we can lower it in the front. And for the back, somebody, actually his name is Steve, one of you guys, is sending me a lowering block. I might be able to lower it a little bit with that, but we'll see. We're gonna put the body on and we're gonna put some weight in it to see how it is gonna sit, and then we're gonna decide how much we want to lower it in the back, and the body is gonna come back off again. Okay, that's what we do with the instructions. So yeah, I don't think we're gonna show you a lot of detail here. We're gonna have to take the suspension apart, of course. But yeah, let's see what we're gonna do. Okay, we ran into an interesting problem here. So I was able to undo these two nuts here, but the third one, look how close it is to the bushing, or the top bushing for the shock, and I can't put a socket on it. It is weird. So the other side, David said that it's already
You have a
like
little
there's
bit
more
room there, right?
Yeah, here we can put a socket. How come there we can't?
Is the top collar maybe bigger on that side than this side?
No, it's
Same.
not the collar. It's the bushing is
compressed more. Yeah.
We actually loosened a little bit the nuts here on top of the shock, just so we can decompress the bushing a little bit, and it's still super close. That's interesting. So that's what we're fighting with. Alright, one problem was solved. David played here for half an hour with a stubby wrench and he was able to undo that. But now we run into another problem. It turns out it's like as if we didn't assemble this, right? We assembled it like...
It was like 5 years ago.
Yeah, but turns out that this upper bushing with the washer and everything, they just don't go through. Looks like the hole is big enough only for the stem of the shock. Like, how is that even possible? So we have to compress the spring here in place and remove the nut from the top. But look how tight it is here, and my spring compressor is pretty big. So anyway, I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna split now from here. I was thinking to remove these bolts and just unfold everything down, but the problem is the bolts are on the inside, and that's how they were. I remember we were following the instructions in the manual. So
yeah, split it at the ball
split
joint.
it here
Yeah.
at the ball joint. We're gonna raise the upper control arm, and the lower is gonna go down together with the link, the vertical link, and then we'll see what we're gonna do with the thing, with the spring. It's so spring is around the corner, you know.
Yeah, right. I wish.
Okay, so we had to use the spring compressor there and scratched the thing all over the place, and it turns out that maybe when we were assembling it we used the wrong upper washer.
Yeah.
So this bushing came with the shock, or I bought it as a shock bushing, so even that wasn't gonna go, but the hole there is big enough for these to go. So I guess I screwed up somehow. So assembling it back should work easier because these ones are much smaller and they can go through the hole on the tower there. So we can assemble it on the bench. Now here we run into something else though. You see how it comes. So this goes here and then goes like this, but in this case we don't have enough room here to start the threads. So we were looking at this part and we thought that maybe these are just old parts that stayed there from old shocks or something, but I tried to pry them out. They didn't come out, so it looks like they have been there. That's how the part needs to be. So in this case we're gonna have to get rid of these. because these act as caps here, right? But on the other hand, look, this fits nicely inside. If we don't have this, then we're gonna have too much space here. I don't want to make the bushings smaller. I don't want to cut them. How are we supposed to do that, especially when we have the spring there compressed? How are we supposed to do that? So that's interesting. Yeah.
You almost get it started, eh?
Yeah. What I can do is I can make a bushing that fits inside here to compensate for this space. Inner diameter with this diameter, outer diameter with this, and then it can keep it from wobbling, and then we can put the other thing on top, and then we can start the nut. But how is it supposed to be? I have no idea. And then this is gonna fit through the hole on the tower, no problem. The other thing is, now I wanted to paint the springs because I scratched them all over now with the spring compressors, but then with the spring compressors again I'm gonna make a mess. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna compress them, we're gonna put them on, we're gonna assemble everything, and then I'm gonna figure out a way to touch this up. We're gonna put something like paper towel or tin foil, as David suggested, and we're gonna paint the spring as everything is assembled, and then we're gonna put it on the car. Okay. All right, just a quick interruption here. The footage in the next 23 seconds of this video is flickering because I somehow messed up the settings of my camera, so 10 minutes of footage were damaged. So I condensed the 10 minutes into 23 seconds just so I can keep the storyline. So I'm sorry that the footage is hurting your eyes, but if you want, just skip it. It's only 23 seconds and then we go back to normal. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so we decided to make bushings for here. So I made this. These first, I'm gonna lower them all the way. This way I don't need to compress the spring as much. Yeah. Looking good.
Let's do the other side.
All right, so the second shock is also disassembled, and this is the one on the right side. Remember where we couldn't put the socket on one of the studs? Well, that is why. I guess we couldn't put it on this stud because the hole here is ovaled, and the shock was able to move down or up. So now with our bushing inside, that's gonna be fixed. So I don't think I need to do anything there. But if I knew that before, I was supposed to weld it and grind it to make it oval, make it round again. I think now with this bushing it's gonna be fine. So we're just gonna leave it like that. Just wanted to show you that. Okay, so they're both assembled now, and David is gonna try to clean the old paint a little bit. It's not great. I remember it was the same thing. I painted them and we assembled them with fresh paint, and it's like scratched right away. So now I think David is gonna do a good job. He's gonna clean them up a little bit, then he's gonna try to mask the shock inside and outside, anything that is visible. And we're gonna try to paint them. In the meantime, I will see how to start installing the rear ones, because here, if you remember, I don't remember. I don't know how I expect you to remember. There's two types of shocks for rear shocks for GT6. For the non-Rotoflex suspension, the shock was going from here, from the vertical link here to the frame right here. So that was the shorter shock. When they introduced the Rotoflex here on the axles, now the shock was interfering with the Rotoflex. So for the Rotoflex cars, they started using longer shocks, and now the top end, instead of here, is mounting right here on the body. So because this car was Rotoflex before, it has the longer shocks. But now that I remove the Rotoflex, I can use either way. And to be honest, I don't remember what length I bought, the short or long. So I'm gonna have to go and check that. So this is what I bought, and I still don't know if these are the short or the long. I think these are the long ones because that's compressed all the way. I think these are the long ones, and here it says rear guard shock ABS Roto, one box. So I guess it is for the Rotoflex suspension, which is stupid of me. I guess that was the only one available, but I would have preferred these ones that mount here. But you see, this is compressed all the way now, and the car has absolutely no weight on it. So we're gonna have to go that way, I guess. So I can't really mount them yet. I have to mount them when the body is on the car. I would have preferred the short ones because I can assemble everything without the body, right? This is what I have, and it is for the Rotoflex. All right, in this case, while David is struggling with this here, I don't know if he's gonna be able to do anything.
We'll make it work.
He's gonna make it work. Then in the meantime, I'm gonna start setting up here for a lift off, because this body finally is gonna have to be lifted in the air somehow. So I have to come up with a plan how we're gonna put this there. Okay, we tried with tin foil inside. That didn't work very well, but we were able to shove rags inside, so they got painted pretty well. And David also heated them with the heat gun, so they're almost, actually this one is almost dry, this one is still fresh. But we're gonna start assembling them soon because our body is ready to fly like an eagle. David was just playing Fly Like an Eagle.
Yeah, it was just the perfect song came on at the perfect time. Well, we hope it flies like an eagle.
We'll see. So we're ready for liftoff here, but we need to assemble the body. I mean, the chassis, the front suspension, and then, at least for now, the plan is to turn it this way so we can come out with the body that way, and then come this way from the side. Because of the forks like underneath, we need to come from the side of the car somehow. So yeah, we will see. Okay, so both sides are now on the car. They look great, 100% better than what they looked before. And we adjusted them both to be at 1.25 inches from the top of the screw, actually. And that's not the center, but we wanted them to be a little bit lower, so that's how they're gonna be for now. And we will see when the car is on the floor and with the body on, the bonnet and everything, we will see what it looks like, and then we can adjust it a little bit up and down if we want to. So that's it. We're gonna put the wheels on now. We'll relocate the chassis and bring the body on top. Okay, after like probably hour and a half, we were able to put the body on the chassis. It was way harder than what I expected.
Like playing Tetris.
Yeah, it's so tight in the garage, and I dented it. That's the only damage, but it is damaged, so we're gonna have to fix that.
You practice your body work.
Yeah. So upset about that, but anyway, and that's what it is. That's what it looks like. Now we still don't have the rear shocks in. That's the next part. I want to put them on and see if that's gonna change anything. The front end is still not low enough, but once we put the rear shocks in, we're gonna put it on the floor, and we're gonna actually turn it this way here, because the garage floor is uphill there a little bit. We don't want that. and we're gonna go from there. Okay, so this side the shock is inside. We had a little bit of a issue here because I had a brain fart a long time ago, 7 years ago. For whatever reason I didn't realize that this bolt needs to come out, the long bolt. So it was just sitting there with even this bushing on top that is from an old shock. It was just sitting there in the boat, and I was like furious at myself because how do I take it out? Turns out, well, David was like more positive than me. He says, okay, let's try it. But it worked. It came out with a little bit of mystery whatever oil.
Weasel pea.
Weasel pea he calls it. And vice grips and a little bit of swearing, and it came out, and we put the new shock in, and it actually looks good.
Yeah.
All right, so she's finally on her own wheels on the floor, and that's the stance. We changed this shock as well. This one was it was easier because it was harder. I mean, the boat wouldn't even budge, but at least the bushing was not on the boat, so this meant that I could just shove the shock on without taking the boat out. So it's pretty well seized there for the last 60 years, I guess. How old is this car? 54? No, 52. She's two years older than me. Anyway, so the shock went in, and it is way too high. If you ask me, it is like way too high. So we're gonna try to bring the front shocks as low as possible, but at least it's kind of parallel to the floor, which means I can bring both down, the rear and the front, because before it looked like the front was higher than the rear end. But it looks like it is parallel now, so I don't know. If we lower it by at least an inch in the front, which means the spring is going to go all the way to the bottom of the shock, and the rear end we're going to have to lower with the lowering block. Alright, so the front is lowered as far as it could go. It went down by 1 inch, which is great. For some reason though, this side is still taller than the other side by 5/8. Yeah. The other side though looks a little bit too low. I mean, I like what it looks like, but there's nobody in the car, and there's more weight to come in the car. I mean, there's not going to be a lot more weight, but the seats
unless I'm sitting in that side of the car.
Yeah.
Then you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but yeah, this might be a little bit too low now.
Yeah, I definitely think so. If I come over and give you
David just pushed a little bit down and it went too far.
I mean, so I'm just going to put a little bit of tiny weight on it, so.
Yeah, that's a little
Pretty
bit
low.
too low. So that's fine. We have room to go up. We don't have room to go down.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty happy with the front. And for the back, I just measured. The seal in the front is 1.5 inches lower than the seal in the back right here. So this means we need to lower the rear end by 1.5 inches, which I think it's absolutely possible because the lowering block is 1/2 inch, and I think, if I remember correctly, 1/2 inch block on the differential gives you 1 inch lower on the outside. And then we're also going to play with the spring a little bit. We'll see when we take it out again, because that's just a temporarily on. I can't believe we have to take the body off again and then on again, but
Yeah, that's easy enough.
yeah, but we definitely want to do the lowering block and lower a little bit with the spring if we can play with the buttons. I don't know, we'll see, but it's getting there. I was kind of like super disappointed with the whole stance before, but now I have the hope that we can bring it to something more normal. I mean, the front is already looking good. Just the rear needs to go down. Okay, I just measured the rear end where it should be when it's lowered by 1.5 inches, and David is now holding it where it is.
How's it look?
It actually looks pretty good. Yeah, yeah, that makes me happy. Okay, so I think that's gonna be everything for today. I mean, we can't do much more anyways because we don't have the lowering block and whatever we need for the back, but at least we know when it comes what to do. We have some measurements taken before so we can measure after, and we're gonna go from there. So in the meantime, I also got my parts here for the manifold and gaskets and everything that we need. This is a phenolic sheet, so I can make 2 new insulators. So this is insulation. It's because apparently these are asbestos, and I remember I ground some of them on the wire wheel to clean them on the side. So that's great for me.
Were you holding your breath?
Not really. So we're gonna have to make new ones of these, but you can see here where the old gasket was, and that's actually what the gasket needs to look like so it can seal properly. So hopefully in the next video we can do that and eliminate the vacuum leaks and start it and
then
be
we
able
go,
to
and
adjust.
then we go for a drive.
And then we can go for a drive, yeah. Anyway, so that's gonna be everything for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks, David, for helping once again. And I hope you enjoyed this one, even though it's kind of a erratic video going back and forth, but it's progress. Whatever it is progress. So like David says, it is nice to see the car out of the corner, and now this corner needs to be rearranged because she needs to go back in that corner, because tomorrow we have other cars to work on. But anyways, thank you guys for watching and commenting and subscribing and sharing and supporting the channel. It is very, very appreciated. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.